All right, welcome. This is Nuke Marine presenting Let's Learn Japanese, a course series for the self-study of Japanese from basics and beginnings up to intermediate and hopefully advanced. All right, this is a unusual type of Let's Learn Japanese in that this is a discussion. So with me over here, you can see this handsome gentleman. This is, and you better pronounce him because I'm going to butcher it.
Deni Mintsaev.
All right, and Deni, can you tell me why are we interviewing? Like, introduce yourself and explain why we're interviewing.
Well, I am a Japanese learner. I've been studying Japanese for close to 5 years. I was about to say 5 months, close to 5 years. And yeah, I've studied like 99% by myself. And even though I went to university, both in Russia and now in the UK, and soon to be in Japan for my year abroad, and my major is Japanese studies, I don't really do my homework, and I just kind of study in my own way, at my own pace.
Right.
And yeah, I don't really like the academic approach to studying foreign languages because I don't really think that it's particularly effective. But yeah, I study Japanese. Recently, I've been immersing more and more, and I remember when I was still learning English and like improving my English, I would just watch a lot of stuff in English and talk to English speakers when playing video games. And yeah, just kind of use the language a lot. And now I'm at the point where I can finally do that with Japanese, I think. So yeah, I've just been immersing a lot, and
now, to make sure
I see a lot of improvement.
Maybe I missed it. So my understanding is you're kind of like a polyglot. What was your native language again?
My native language, well, I guess I have two native languages.
Right. That's right.
Which is Chechen and Russian.
Right. Now you learned Russian second, but you moved. Like I remember that on your interview with Steve Kaufman.
Yeah.
All right. Right. That's why I make sure. So yeah, you qualify as polyglot, and you still have strong. I saw that you were speaking Russian on that video. So Chechen, though, you still have a strong grasp of that language, or what did it kind of?
Not a strong grasp, unfortunately, because I grew up in Moscow, and my parents, for some reason, decided to speak Russian to me for the most part. I guess when I went to kindergarten, nobody could understand me. So I had to learn Russian. But then they just kept speaking Russian to me, and I kind of became rusty over time. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah, similar to Lucas / Yoga Pants, he had mentioned like his original language, he basically can't speak too well. Like he'd have to relearn it. So now basically his native language would be English. And and again, apologies to the audience. I mean, again, we're goofing around in that I don't like it when it's just like two people looking ahead in the camera and they're just talking. It's like two talking heads like that. Where I don't know, it just feels more comfortable, even though because I could visualize, Deni right there. So because I've done virtual reality a lot, so it's no problem with that. And so having a conversation, and I could be like listening to him talk. So that's the reason why I do it that way. And I don't know how it looks on video, like if it looks weird or not. But.
I've never done it this way either, actually.
So in the audience, if this looks like stupid as fuck, tell us, and we'll just look straight ahead to the camera and whatnot. That's fine. So the reason why is like if I'm talking to Deni, I'll look this way, and if I'm talking to the audience, I'll look here. So like for example, right now, Deni, he has a couple websites and the link to the YouTube channel. Now it said Den the Bro, which I like, but he said, hey, don't use Den the Bro, use Deni. Okay, cool. But I do like that Den the Bro. And he's got like me, he has a variety of interests. Like, I have a video showing how to solve a Rubik's Cube. He's got many videos because he's much better at the Rubik's Cube. It looks like Minecraft and gaming. So again, I'm not much of a gamer. I got into gaming with virtual reality and kind of got back out of it. But yeah, he's got a lot of interest, and so that's good. And one of his interests, he's treating it like a hobby, but a serious hobby is Japanese. So go to his YouTube channel, check it out, and I think you're going to find that it's pretty good. And then also he's got his own page. So it's Deni. I don't think I've got a link. We might put the link down later, but yes, just like
I can just put it in the chat.
Yeah. Go put it into the chat.
Yeah, it's just a personal website where I just have all of my links and various projects.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that link should work.
Now, we were going to start off, like, let me ask, why did you end up messaging me asking for it? Like, I was doing a live stream, you were making some comments, and then contacting me right. So that was like yesterday, or was it yesterday or day? It was. I think it was. When was that?
It was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
I woke up and I saw your message about your live stream, your Let's Read Attack on Titan, which is actually
on the Kodakata Discord.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I posted out like a bunch of Discord, so it's like, yeah. I spammed the link to the. It's not really spamming. I've got permission from the Discord people there, so that's why. And then I deleted afterwards, so it's not like it. It takes up a lot of space. Okay. Anyway, so anyway, you saw the link on the.
I saw that, and I thought I would check it out because I am actually watching Attack on Titan right now. I'm watching
prepping for fourth season. Prepping for the fourth season.
I guess I've never seen it, so I'm watching from the first season, and I'm watching it in raw Japanese. It's not the first anime that I've seen in
Japanese subtitles, or no?
No, nothing. No subtitles at all.
Pure raw. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
The way you got it.
So I just I like the approach of like consuming content the way a native speaker would consume it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was consuming a lot of English content back in the day, well, I still do. That's the main content that I consume, I think. I guess it's kind of maybe 40-60 between English and Japanese, English probably being 60. But yeah, I would also just watch the English stuff without any help. I would just look up new words in a dictionary, and that's what I'm doing now. So that's what I'm doing now with Japanese, I mean. So yeah, I'm watching Attack on Titan, and I was struggling a little bit for a little while, but then I realized that the problem was that I was just kind of watching it in the background while solving a Rubik's Cube. So I decided to watch it more actively, and I could understand a lot more. So go figure.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. So I was just watching that. I thought, because you were doing a stream, I might as well check it out. And I thought it was very interesting talking to you, and I thought it would be a nice collaboration for us to do. Probably both of our audiences would be maybe interested in the other channel. I'm sure that my audience would be interested in yours. So I'll definitely make a video about this, just cut out the most interesting bits. And yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and because I remember I saw you when I did the Kodakata interview, so they gave me the link to the Discord. And then on there, you were mentioning you just made a video. And because I remember seeing your videos, but I didn't attach those videos I saw to you when you were posting on there. And I remember like I was giving some advice, and then I like realized like, man, that's gonna be kind of arrogant because it's like you obviously knew what you were doing. So it's like I kind of deleted all the recommendations because there's advice that's good to give to a beginner, then there's advice that it'd be insulting to say the same thing to someone who's intermediate or approaching advanced stages. And like I said,
well, there was still a lot of insightful stuff that I learned from you. So, and especially with the statistics, with the kanji, I was actually surprised how close my personal data that I made with 1,500 kanji was to yours. I got like 97%, I think, overall across various media. And yours had 95, which is pretty close.
And the 95, and again, it wasn't too difficult. This had happened like 10 years ago, but also it happened recently. 10 years ago, a gentleman named great, now I'm forgetting his name. I feel bad because he was on the Kohi forums. He was able to gather off the version of media sharing, some type of. I'm forgetting all the names of this, but anyway, it was not a Discord. It wasn't a BitTorrent site, but it was like a group share. Anyway, he collected 5,000 Japanese novels. That became famous or shared around the interwebs. But anyway, what he also did, another gentleman who did the SubSSRS program, he also created a program for Japanese text analyzer. So he analyzed all 5,000 books. And so he got like a list of like the 100,000 or 200,000 words that were across all 5,000 books. But he also got a frequency listing for kanji. So we did have that. Like, so these statistics were, you know, from books. So it's going to match up. The bigger your resources, they're going to start matching up whether you're getting it from, especially get across a broad source of material. Like if it's only coming from newspapers, that's going to definitely skew the results big time. And definitely if you're only getting it from, let's say, the Netflix subtitles, which is another kind of this famous collection now that we've got. But if you scan that, then you're just limited to words that are normally spoken. And a lot of words, that's going to cut out a lot of words there. And also it's going to cut out kanji that are normally in the written form. And they might not use it in subtitles because it's more difficult to put, you got to put then furigana above it and whatnot.
Right.
So the resources are there. That particular thing was another gentleman. What happened was he scanned the novels and then so I used that information. So I used the words and the appearance, and then I used that as to get the kanji frequency. But also used what was called, I tethered it. So if a kanji appeared or a word appeared in just one book a lot of times, but not in all the other books, that got lowered because it was like it wasn't in too many sources. So it had a lower source ranking than a frequency ranking. So that's why I have a tethered sort. So hopefully the more common words that are common across all novels rise more to the top. And those that, like, let's say Harry Potter and Expelliarmus or whatever, that word isn't going to like rank high just because it happened to be used a lot in 7 books, if that makes sense. But yeah, what amazed me was that like you said, the kanji was 150 kanji 50% of the time per use. Those are the kanji that you use no matter what kanji you run into. 50% of the time it's one of those 150 kanji. Then you raise it up to 500 kanji. Now it's 75% of the time it's one of those 500 kanji.
Yeah.
Then you raise it up to 1,000. Now it's 90% of the time it's one of those 1,000. Then you raise it up to 1,500. So you've only added another 500 kanji, but you've gone from 90% to 95%. So you had a 5% increase. So this was when it came.
Well, I would say a 5% increase is significant because that means that 5% is 1 in 20, right?
No, it's super important to learn. But I mean, like, but if you wanted to say like division of labor, the first 500 you want to learn those 500 that are 70% of the time because more bang for
it's
buck.
diminishing return. Yeah.
Right. And it goes up there. So that's where I did this 10 years ago. I mentioned don't learn all 2,000 or 3,000 kanji up front. But it's still a good idea to learn the 500 most common kanji and then use what I recommended was remember the kanji order. And that's why I started to suggest that to people. So that's, and then of course I said breaking down vocabulary list by frequency groups as well. Now you can be sorted sort the words in a way that's not dictionary order. Because that was a problem with like the core 2K, 6K list. They were all in dictionary order. Actually, worse than that, they were in pronunciation order. But if
personally,
you look at
I'm not. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but one way I did is I sorted it with kanji. So I had it actually sorted the vocabulary by kanji, and so they kind of got thematic groupings that way. But it's better if you had thematic grouping like that's done by a human that grouped the words thematically. So that would have been better.
Right.
And plus, like the Kana words that don't have kanji to help, instead. But if you got a human saying, well, yeah, let's put it into this. This is a vocabulary word for learning, so let's put it into this particular chapter of words, if that makes sense. Does this feel weird talking to a wall, by the way?
It is a bit weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, guy. I mean, we don't have.
And I can see you in my peripheral vision as well.
But I wonder, like, if people are watching it, if it's like, hey, this looks cool, or it's like, oh no, yeah, that's no. But again, just sorry, I got distracted. But so I wanted to ask you because I saw that, and you're learning so much because you've got an advantage over me. I've just learned Japanese, and I'm not that good in Japanese. My reading is stronger.
I'm not that good either.
My reading is stronger than my speaking by a large margin, but my reading's not that good. So when I hear about like you, Steve Kaufman, Matt versus Japan, Matt, he's just learned Japanese to a high degree. That's why you want to pay attention to what he says. Yoga, Lucas, he's learned a number of languages. He's quite well. Plus, he's good at programming. and that helps out the learning community. The programmers who want to use their programming magic for getting people to learn languages in a better way. Those are the very important. But also gentlemen like you and Steve Kaufman who have learned multiple languages, and you know what are the mistakes people make and what actually could be useful for a beginning person that pays off that you don't notice till maybe your second or third non-native language. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess. I would say that I'm mostly a follower of Steve Kaufman, maybe, because he seems to be the most lenient to me. And I've done a couple of videos with him, one on his channel, one on my channel.
You did like 4 years separation also, right? Because you had a video from 4 years ago, interview, right?
Yeah.
And then you had to redo it 8 months ago.
Yeah, back then I had been studying Japanese for 4 months, and in the new video it was 4 years. So there's a big difference. And we did the same format: English, Russian, and Japanese. So it's kind of interesting, I guess. Yeah, so like I like his approach best.
Let me add, by the way, y'all were doing Russian first, then y'all moved to Japanese. You can kind of hear him. It sounded like he was trying to, moving from Russian to Japanese was kind of, it's kind of doing it.
Yeah. He talked about that, how it was confusing to him. He kept going back to Russian. I've experienced the same issue in one of my videos where I made a video a long time ago where I was speaking English, German, and Japanese, because I speak a little bit of German, but like not even like conversational level. But even there, when I switched from German to Japanese, I felt the exact same thing. Or it was from Japanese to German. I don't quite remember which way around, but like I kept going back to the previous language, and I was like, oh my God, this is what Steve was talking about. I think the issue is like, when it's like English and Japanese, or English and Russian, or Russian and German, or English and German, it's easy because one of them I am fluent in, English or Russian. But when it's like Japanese and German, I'm not fluent in either, or well, I still don't think I can say I'm fluent in Japanese. Maybe I can say I'm fluent in spoken Japanese. I can speak pretty freely, but in general, I'm not really fluent in Japanese still. So between Japanese and German, it's much harder because then I have to like focus. So yeah, it was an interesting thing. And
for you, like I think Steve with Kaufman and some others, like wait a minute, I'm drawing blanks on names. Sorry about that. Guy who does Japanese from zero, George Twombly. What he would say is like he wants to encourage output early on, and then like as in stressing more of that than input. In fact, his reading level is much lower than his speaking ability. I think in a multiple.
Wait, who is this? Japanese Gary Ben?
Twombly, George Twombly. He does Japanese from zero books, but he's learned Korean and Chinese, and he tried to learn French. I think he gave up on that, but.
I've seen him, but he's a bit too like, he really wants to sell you the book based on what I've seen of him.
Yeah. And he does well. People like what he's. And he's not really selling the book so much. The book is like a representation of what he teaches, how he teaches Japanese, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of like what you were mentioning. Do what you like and what people enjoy, what you like, and then you can actually make a good living in that way. Then you are blessed if you can do that. Like, and so he's not. I don't think he's doing it to make a buck. I think he's doing it because he believes in what he's selling, and he believes he can help others. So yeah, that's how I see it. Like I said, because I've seen some guys that they're definitely after the dollar, and you can tell it. And that makes you wary, because then they put off Yeah, I won't go too much into that, but yeah, just the feeling like.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm mostly a follower of
Steve Kaufman.
Well, I'm not really a follower of anyone, but I adhere the most to Steve Kaufman's advice because he's a lot more lenient. You mentioned Math versus Japan when it comes to immersion, but I feel like I think he's strayed away from that a little bit in like recent times. But he used to be like very adamant that like this is the way you learn, and if you do it otherwise, you're not gonna get fluent. Like on their old MIA website, when that was a thing, it said that they have no proof of people becoming fluent in a language from spending 2 hours a week. A day. 2 hours a day, one active, one passive. I would say 2 hours is plenty enough. And I'm personally just not really fussed about how fast I get fluent. Like I used to be, but now I just want to enjoy the process. And that's what I want to promote the most, that people study the way that is best for them and enjoy the process. Because what is the point? The point is to use a foreign language, to have fun learning it, to maybe share that excitement with other people, learn about the new culture. It's not about how fast you can get it. It's not like a Rubik's Cube where you have to solve it as quickly as possible. Well, in terms of competitions.
All right. What I would say, kind of like when you go with the Rubik's Cube, is like, what it felt like is there's something you want to do in the advanced stages, which is different than what you do in the intermediate, which is definitely different than what you do in the beginner. Like with the Rubik's Cube, just tell them, hey, just solve that one corner. Put the red, white, and blue in the correct corner. And practice that till you get pretty good at it. Like, don't even worry about any of the other things. You don't need to worry about any other things. That's kind of like, don't worry about the 3,000 kanji. Don't worry about the 20,000 vocabulary words. All right, concentrate on these 150 kanji, these 1,000 vocabulary words. And hiragana, katakana. Like just concentrate on that. Like with learning Japanese or with English. Like, you definitely want to learn the characters. You want to learn, but you don't want to do. There's some things with English, like here's the 2-letter combinations, which I think they need to stress that they, like here's a consonant, here's a vowel. Learn how to do that. And then here's a 3-letter combination. So you learn consonant, vowel, consonant, like that. And then now we're going to learn like here's the soft vowel versus hard, short and long vowels and things. And then so that's teaching phonetics, but that's different because English is such a crazy ass language that its spelling the spelling is just chaotic. So if you try to stress the correct spelling of a word to a kid, you lose them. But you just want to make sure they're understanding when they hear something, they can understand it, and that's a beginning thing. And then also basic words. That's all. Don't teach them grammar. Just teach them grammatical ideas like that. For example. But anyway, that's on the basic level. And then once you pass the basic, then there's something you want to do for intermediate. We're pretty much getting past the intermediate, going to the more advanced stage, but not the fluent stage, right? Would you?
Yeah, I would say so for myself.
I think similar to myself. I'm kind of past all the intermediate. We got like the 6 for Japanese. I would say for anyone who's like from an English background, 6,000 words. Once you get about 6,000 words on your belt, you're kind of past the intermediate. Now you're into the advanced stages. Like from beginner, you want to get up to about 2,020 or 2,500 words. So that's the beginning stage, and it sounds like a lot, but there's just the overlap from English and Japanese is 0. Now, I don't know what the overlap from Chechen to Russian was, but I assume it was a little bit better than Russian to English.
No. Well, Chechen is kind of a weird case because in Russia specifically, Chechen is very often intermixed with Russian a bit. But Chechen in like foreign countries like Belgium or Germany will sound a bit different because they will not use the Russian words. But like if you're talking about pure Chechen and pure Russian, there's very little overlap. But with Russian and English, it's a lot more because they're both European languages.
There's overlap in vocabulary and there's overlap in grammar. So my understanding, like if you wanted to go from Japanese Korean, you got a much easier chance because there's a lot overlap in grammar and there's some vocabulary overlap, although the pronunciation is going to be off. But once you notice, that's kind of like the difference in pronunciation with English and French cognates or Spanish cognates. Or if you go from Japanese to Chinese, you got not only just kanji, but you got words that are made from kanji. There's a big overlap. Yeah. I remember I traveled to Taiwan, and I had a much easier time just using my Japanese skills of reading to figure out what things are at. Whereas if they had the words in not Romaji, I'm sorry, English characters, I was completely lost. I just could not place the play. There was nothing I could relate. It was just a bunch of words. There was just no pattern to it.
You mean like their pinyin or whatever it's called?
Yeah, pinyin. Yeah, just because again, it's kanji. Well, I'm not sure because it's Taiwan, so it's slightly different. But what I just meant though is if I was going to learn Chinese after I became very good in Japanese, there's enough overlap to where the reading would be easier, but the spoken portions are going to have to be like learned almost from scratch, if that makes sense. But what I'm saying though, I'm not really starting from zero. Almost nothing you do starts from zero, except for if you're an English speaker trying to learn Japanese. You know, and
well,
even
almost, yeah. It's like might as well
even
be
the
from
loan words you got to
scratch.
be super careful on because unlike cognates between English and Spanish, I mean, again, it is completely changed when they canonize the words, and they may even use it in a different format completely.
Yeah. Like consento. Does that mean somebody is giving consent? No, it's like an electrical plug.
Right. or their stapler, Hochikusu, which is named after Hotchkiss, the inventor of the stapler. You know, they might do something like that.
Right.
So even then, that's not a guarantee. But there is overlap, but very little. You might as well say there isn't any. So that's when you literally are. Japanese is from zero, unless you're like Korean or Chinese as a native speaker. Because now you got. But even then, that's just they're still gonna have to put in a lot of work. And so I do think like at the beginning stages, I don't think that immersion is really important because one, most of your immersion isn't going to be comprehensible. And non-comprehensible immersion isn't too useful, I think.
Well, I think the point that the followers of immersion make is that you learn to tell apart the sounds of the language. Because like compare the way you're hearing Japanese now to before you started learning it.
Yeah,
before it was just a jumbled mess. It was like gibberish. Somebody might as well be speaking in tongues. But now you can pick apart the words. Right. And so a lot of the time, even if you don't know the word, you can still tell, oh, I think they said maybe soku or something, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah. And then you learn like so and so, or cool, like the stretching it out, like, and that's super important.
Yeah.
And then later on, you realize they hit you in the back of the head with, oh, by the way, there's this whole thing called pitch accents or intonation, and oh wow, okay, that'll trip people up. But I think from what I'm seeing is like you want that basic stage because you can actually cover it so quickly, like in 200 study hours from zero, where you're just getting the vocabulary, kanji, reading ability, just at that basic level. And at that time, you could still be doing the listening, but comprehensible listening would be from your study resources, as opposed to something like a TV show, because again, you comprehend so little of the language at that. But once you hit but I'm just meaning that's at that very small part called the basic stage, which is 200 study hours, and then worry about the immersion is going to become much more important. That from what I'm feeling, but even then the immersion is basically a trade-off where now you're trading study hours with immersion hours, and even immersion that what I say I give my description, so it's a little different than what you're used to. I say there's background immersion like you're used to. That means it's just playing all the time. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Then there's what
I do both.
No, I'm saying like that's my description of background. So it's just Japanese is playing. Now the best type of background immersion material is stuff that you comprehend, in my opinion. Otherwise, it turns into white noise, and that's from personal experience and from both when I used audio from just shows that I've just watched once without trying to comprehend it, but I just watched it for fun, versus a show I tried to understand, like look up stuff I don't know. That audio became super powerful as background audio because I had a higher chance of comprehending it when I did pay attention. So that's background audio. Passive it is just like you're sitting down watching TV. That's all. But you're not trying to figure out what you don't know. Like if you sit down, read a book or watch TV, you're not taking time out to look up what a word means. That to me is the passive. Does that make sense? And then there's the active.
It makes sense to me. Yeah.
That's why I'm using the term. So when I say active, it's not about, I'm sitting down watching a TV show. I'm sitting down watching TV. If I see something I don't know, I want to find out what it means. So I'm not trying to be lost in the story.
That's what I do, but I don't. I've stopped pausing it because I used to do like every single.
Sorry, let me.
You're not muted. By the way, just letting you know that on the stream, you can see the backdrop of my website for some reason.
Yes, that's on purpose. Because
okay.
I mean, I can, like I said, I can change the size right there. You can even see.
Oh, no, it's okay. I thought you did it on accident. But yeah, where were we at? Yeah, so I do kind of something in between where I used to like really fuss about everything and look up everything that I didn't know. But as you can imagine, that became really frustrating and just discouraged me from consuming content.
Yeah,
so now I just like I let it play, and if I hear words that sound important to me, I look them up.
Okay. Now what's different is I never did that. I freaking hate, like I'm watching a TV show, I'm not pausing it at all. I never do. I'm just watching. I'll have the subtitles in Japanese subtitles, so that's how I'm making it more comprehensible than normal if there's subtitles. Unfortunately, you know, as I know, subtitles you're more reading than listening. There's that. But when I started doing this whole Let's Read series, that's when I started looking up stuff, because then it's just hover, okay, cool, then go back. I'm pausing for a very short amount of time. So yeah, it might take me, instead of 25 minutes to get through a show, it might take me 40, maybe. But I think that's so minimal. Like and I could actually make it faster if I wasn't using the Japanese definitions as much. Like I just try to scroll down to the English, but that kind of defeats the purpose, if you know what I mean. So that's, but I'm saying, like, that's why I'm saying passive is fun, is because, you know, you want to enjoy the show. That's all. Just watch it. And yeah, and same with reading a book. Like if I'm reading a physical book, I'm not stopping to look up a word in the dictionary. That was never my thing. And that's why I probably never got better in Japanese. I think that was a big reason why. But when I started this whole thing, because of my mindset of looking up words because I can just hover over the word and look it up real quick, yeah, it sped things up. I don't do it all the time. I just do it for that 1 or so hours of my reading. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I when I read, I still do what I described earlier. I look up everything.
That's a
problem. And one pet peeve of mine is I don't want to ever misread the pronunciation of the word. I don't care as much about misunderstanding, but I really don't want to make a mistake with the reading, because then I might just because there is no hiragana for most of the stuff, so I might just think, oh, okay, so that's just how you read it. But no, there might be, like, if it's one of those compound words, there might be a nigori, where it's like the second syllable has, it's voiced. The consonant is voiced, right? So, but sometimes it is not. So I really have to look it up. And sometimes some words are read in kunyomi, some words are read in onyomi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I always look up a word if I'm not sure how it's read. And I also want to understand what I'm reading, because I'm interested in the story. Right now I'm reading A Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, Nezumaki Dori Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. And I set a goal for myself. It's you know how, like, with Japanese books, they split everything up into parts for some reason, even though in the West you would just have one big book.
Oh yeah, I like it because, hey, light novel size. So each one. Right now I measure books in light novels.
I don't know. I don't really like it. I'd rather it be one big book. But
I appreciate it only because of you know, again, you put it in your pocket, pull it out, and read it. So on the train, you see lots of people.
I only read at home, really.
No, I mean, I'm saying in Japan. Have you gone to Japan yet?
I've been there for 6 days.
Okay, and you got into a bookstore. You saw, like, these is like packed. The bookstores are just packed with books, right? And you know, they're good light novel sizes. I don't know. And again, this is going off opinion here, but just that you will notice, like, you know, again, people have it pulled out real quick, reading it, and it makes it easier to read. You don't have a big book.
I guess. But yeah, but so I have, there are 3 volumes of it, and I set a goal for myself to finish the first volume by the end of this year, which means that I have to read only 4 pages a day, which I've stuck to for now, but it's only been a few days. But like, it takes me, like, it takes a while because, well, not that long. Maybe I'd have to time it, but if I had to guess, it takes me maybe anywhere between half an hour to an hour to do those 4 pages. But that's because I look up everything. Right. Even if I've seen it before, if I'm not 100% sure that the reading is what I think it is, I will look it up just to make sure I know the reading.
Now that you see the way I do reading, would you ever think of reading that way? Like having the audio playing and then reading on a screen? Or you can still read on a book. So there is that. But you can have the
I don't even know where I would find Japanese subtitles for anime.
Hmm? No. I mean like your book, your audio for your book.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I don't really know where I would find that.
There are places. I mean, there's, you go to audible.jp, then you can get the audiobooks there. They're like, so that's why I was buying like the Harry Potter or the Hanzao Naoki, a few of it, or the gentleman who wrote that. What is it? Anyway, I'm not worried about the names of the authors, but I got the audiobooks for these books that I plan on reading. Now, I did do it online, so that's easy. Like play the audiobook, and I was able to, through certain websites that shall remain unnamed. But if you do a search for let's say a thread about that's done daily on Japanese, daily Japanese thread, you might be able to find a link to various light novels that also, though, there are audiobooks on audible.jp, but there might be some audiobooks on that site that shall remain nameless. And what I found out is like you might like it so much, like you just might want to figure out a way through Audible, if you can, get the Japanese audiobooks and read along to the audio. Now you don't have to worry about looking up words because you hear it, and that's going to help out a lot.
I don't know. One thing I have about that is that I'm very much like a purist when it comes to books. Like I collect all of my books and I have them all in hard copies. I really don't like anything like in electronic form. So that's why I insisted on buying my book.
Read the physical book. Like I did that with
I know.
Konbini Ningen. So I'm at this train station. It's a very small book, so it's like you can finish that in like 8 hours. But I'm listening to the audio and reading the book because I'd listen to the audio with my wife without it because we were eating dinner. So because I purchased it that night, and she was having a blast listening to it because she's like, "Oh my god, that's so funny!" But I'm missing the jokes. And then all of a sudden I'm reading with the audio, and okay, so now because my reading comprehension is much better than my listening. So I'm getting all the humor and the jokes. It's like, okay, we're.
Well,
sorry about the.
I don't know.
Flushing the dead person down the toilet. It's like they did the bird. So
that's the thing with this is that it's more of me kind of putting restrictions on myself. Yeah. Like I understand that it's a lot more convenient and more efficient that way, but
I'm not saying it. No. You misunderstand. I'm not saying it was convenient or efficient. I said it was fun. I had fun.
Yeah, but I like it. I like doing it my way too. Like it's very fun for me, and I like the idea of, as I mentioned before, I like the idea of consuming the content in a certain language the way that natives would consume it themselves.
Well, natives consume it that way. You, as a child, now I'm saying this as a child, I remember. Have you ever heard "Follow the Bouncing Ball"? What is that in reference to?
Where you have like lyrics for a song and there's a ball going over the lyrics.
But you get it. You remember as a kid reading the words as the song played. Do you remember that? That was a native thing, hearing the song in the native language and reading.
I did not do that, but I'm also
growing up as a native English speaker. That's how I consumed. Now I remember hearing the book play and reading the storybook, or reading the book as my teacher read it to me in class. That was something natives consume books in that way. If you wanted to use the argument, you wanted to consume media as natives consume it. Remember, natives consume it that way. Some people. Now you don't have to do it all the time. I'm just saying though, if you're going to put a self-imposed restriction, just remember that restriction you have allows for listening to native audio while you read along to it. Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think people my age in Japan would listen to an audiobook.
But people
of a
your
book
age in
and
Japan
then
are
read it
fluent
at
in
the same
Japanese.
time.
But people your age in Japan are fluent in Japanese. That's why they don't need to.
Yeah, I know. So I want to get fluent as well. So I'm going to do what they do.
But they got fluent as well. They were
And
remember they read along while their teacher read the book to them in preschool. No,
that's a good point, I guess.
So I'm saying, like, but again, you've learned multiple languages, so you have a better argument if knowing what works or doesn't work. But you were saying though there's been a good overlap in English and Japanese, or English and Russian, as opposed to maybe Russian or English to Japanese. So I mean, I'll leave that up to you. But if you said one of the things slowing down reading a book is like you're really afraid about the pronunciation. Well, the benefit here is by hearing it, then you're not subvocalizing in your head. You are hearing how it should be pronounced. And again, you can't do this with everything. It's kind of a fun thing. I would recommend give it a shot. And if it's fun, who the fuck cares? If you find out it's not fun, then yeah, definitely don't do it. That's the biggest thing. Because it's what, like I said, I don't like anime too much. So if your argument is like, oh, but you gotta watch anime, then I would understand there would be a fight there. Or if it's I don't like TV, I don't like movies, I like reading books, and I can definitely appreciate that. And then it's like, cool, well, Japanese has a lot of books, so that should be an excuse to not consume Japanese in that way. And then there's this extra thing I said is like, you don't want to read books on a screen, right? That you don't want to do. So okay, cool. Physical books, but in the audio can be through Audible if you can get access to it. If it's a cost thing, well, there's ways around that. But yeah. Careful about the self-imposed restrictions, especially I'm saying like you're moving from the intermediate to the advanced stages, and I think everyone who's at an advanced level, they've read a shitload of Japanese. Matt is probably
I know.
And what I thought to do is here's why I'm bringing it. Let's say about what I call our light novel units. So if you took the subtitle, like I did with Attack on Titan, so I'm reading. That's reading. Okay, so I'm reading the subtitles, but it's as a text, and I'm listening to it, and then I look up stuff I don't know. Now you saw what I was doing. Did you have fun watching that, or did it seem kind of interesting, or did it seem fun?
The way you were consuming the content?
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's for me personally.
Okay. And
as somebody said in the comments, why am I like fighting everything you say? I'm not like fighting. It's just like I think everyone has their own. Everyone has their own way, right?
Yeah,
everyone has their own way of studying that's good for them. And for me personally, it's like so satisfying when I'm reading something, and like a lot of it will just be a breeze, especially when there's dialogues. I'm just going through it very quickly, and it's really easy. But then I'll get to a point where Murakami starts describing everything in deep detail, right? So I'm like, okay, here we go again. And then it's so satisfying when I finally get through it and like I understand. And sometimes, as you said, like if there's a joke, I get a laugh as well, because when you get a joke in a foreign language, it's kind of amplifying the humor of it, because you not only understood the joke, but you also understood the language.
Some things I think can help you out. If you can, find books to read that have a movie or a TV show or an anime. So you can watch anime first, get the visuals in your head. Then when you're reading and you see the visuals just open up in your head because you're recalling the scenes in the book. So that was like a good way to do that with is Kimi no Nawa, because that's a novelization. Is about 250 pages, and it's really good because most of the movie.
You mean the manga of it?
Okay, you can do the manga, but I mean there's a book for it.
Oh, okay.
So the book is better because again it's describing the scenes. So a lot of the movie is visuals. So now you're seeing the visuals being laid out. So I mean, like you see like the well, God damn it, now I'm forgetting the words anyway. But Miko. So you hear in the description of the two girls as they're doing the the dance at the performance at the shrine. Moku moku moku. For her chewing and whatnot. That's one way you can do it. So now when you're reading the non-dialogue parts, you're having the scenes painted for you with words, which is kind of what you want. And I noticed this also when I was reading Harry Potter and like the Chamber of Secrets, and he's with the fight with the serpent. I'm seeing the scenes just coming to my mind's eye. I'm not remembering the movie because I hadn't seen the movie for like a long last time. But I knew enough to where the scene is being painted for me, where I have more fun with action scenes being described. I haven't read Murakami, so it might be a different experience. But I just mean of the books that I've read, that helps. So that's one other thing you can do to help speed things along.
That actually sounds very interesting to me, and I have done that one time. Mm-hmm. I have a collection of the Orange manga behind me. That's the name of it, Orange. Okay. It's only 6 volumes, and I read the manga first, and then after I watched the anime in raw without any subtitles, and I had a lot. Well, while I was reading the manga, I was doing the same thing where I was like looking up everything because I wanted to understand. Even though it's a very easy manga to understand, but still, I wanted to make sure. And I think it was beneficial for me, and it was enjoyable. And then when I watched the anime, I had all of that context. So it was because it's harder to understand when I'm just listening, right? I don't have the benefit of looking up everything I don't know in a dictionary as I go. It was that much easier because I had the context already. So I think that actually sounds very interesting to me. Like, watching, as you said, maybe Kimi no Na wa. I've seen that movie. Maybe I could rewatch it and then buy the light novel. Is it just a single volume?
Oh yeah. It's a the audiobook.
That would be perfect.
And by the way, get with me. The audiobook is like 6 hours long. So I would say, as an experiment, give it a shot. Just that one book, because the voice actress, she's the lady reading the book. She's the voice actor. I think she's the voice actress in the movie. But she does all the characters, quite well. I think you'll find it's a fun experience. And if you find it's not your cup of tea, you've only invested just one book into it. And if you find, hey, you might like it, you might want to try it with some other books. But that's not the only thing you do. Because like I said, I mean, there's plenty of books. Like, there are books with no audio, but but like watch the anime first and then read the light novel, like Goblin Slayer, sorry, if you like something vicious. What else? Anyway, that's one thing to do in the advanced stages. I'm sorry. So let's bring this back to what the interview was about, which is about getting into the advanced stages. And the advanced stages is consuming in Japanese. So we already were talking about consuming books. We're looking at like consuming shows. Now, for me, my weak point consuming shows is I use Japanese subtitles just because to comprehend it. But I'm saying the way I get around that now is like, I'll try to, what I'm doing right now, so you don't have to do, is like, I'll have the subtitles like as a text form on the screen, and I'll follow along while it's playing on the TV because I'm watching with my wife. If I see a word I don't know, I'll quickly look it up, and then, so I'm not pausing. I have to like kind of keep up with the story as it's going along. So there's that. Right. But I'm not missing out on conversation. I don't have to go and ask her, what does this mean, or what are they talking about? Like, I can see it.
Yeah.
And because my wife, this is her personality, she likes to rewatch shows. Now when she rewatches it, I've got that initial comprehension I built, so now I don't have to worry as much about looking up stuff. Because my personality is I don't like replaying stuff. So unless I'm doing it automatically, I don't. So I can't just sit down and like, I want to watch something I've already watched. If I sit down, I want to watch something new. But now I'm back into the problem of, anything new is less comprehensible than something I've seen. So that was my problem. Now, what have you done to improve your watching of media? Although you've kind of already talked about it. But.
Yeah, well, I just briefly talked about it. So like the way I do it now, which is actually now become so much more enjoyable for me recently, is I just kind of intermix. Like sometimes I do passive listening, where I'm doing something and I have it playing in the background, and I have the visuals as well. I'm usually consuming either anime or YouTube, like YouTube gameplay live streams, just regular Let's Play videos. There is a channel called Sushi Ramen, which I also watch, but they don't upload that much, which is not kind of more like live action stuff. But yeah, I have a bunch of channels that I like, and it's only recently that I found like YouTubers that I really enjoy to watch, and that has motivated me to watch more, because I'm now not thinking like, okay, I have to watch this now because I have to immerse a bit more or practice a bit more. I just usually call it practice. I don't really see the difference between the two terms, but
just
whatever.
Having fun.
Yeah. So I want to watch the next episode because I'm kind of invested in it. I'm watching a Minecraft Let's Play right now. I'm very into Minecraft, and I finally found a Japanese YouTuber who has an interesting personality and has like interesting content in their gameplay. So I'm enjoying that. Very recently, I started watching some virtual YouTubers. I don't know if you've ever heard of those, but it's just kind of this funny thing. I've been
involved in the virtuality scene since 2013. So yeah, I mean, I know about. Was it Ai-chan or what is her?
Yeah, there's Ai-chan, there's Fubuki, there's Korone. There are so many of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, they got one for Ai-chan that's on the Oculus Quest. You can download, which is actually I'm kind of impressed with that particular VR game. It's just a demo, so it's free for those. What's the channel name? This is Deni the Bro, or also Deni, the gentleman's name, Deni Mintsaev.
It's in the description.
Yeah, it's in the description.
I'll copy.
Link to his channel in the description below. Okay. Yeah, there's not too many.
Oh wait, was he not talking about the channel that I mentioned?
Maybe
that I enjoyed.
Yeah, what's the channel name you enjoyed?
Yeah, let me send you that. He's called MK, and he does just like Let's Plays of various games, sometimes videos, sometimes live streams that are later uploaded. Yeah. So this is the guy that I've been enjoying recently.
Now that's a weakness on my part, is I watch YouTube a lot, but they're stuff in English. And because I'm involved in politics too much, so again, that's taking, you only get so much time, and then that consumes a lot of my time. And the only Japanese YouTuber I'm really subscribed to that I even have an interest in watching was Nihongo no Mori. I don't really I never got into watching them yet. I know it would be great if I did. So I think for my own personality, I'm sticking to dramas. But the reading, if I treat it like radio, one example I thought listening to is radio dramas. So if you do a search for FM theater. If you do a search for that, it's NHK's radio dramas, and so you can find like hundreds of those that are available, which you might find is quite fun to listen in background. And it's radio drama, so it's much clearly spoken. That helps. Now, one thing I've done recently, it was through Matt versus Japan's idea. It's an old idea, just finally someone made a program to allow it to actually work that doesn't sound bad. SubSRS used to take it where it stripped audio clips from start time, stop time. Made sense, right? For a sentence. Someone got the idea. It's like, okay, we're going to make audio clips instead of, if between the subtitles, if the time is greater than 1,500 seconds between each of the subtitles, they're going to strip out that time. So basically get all the silence or the montage music or the intro, outro musics, all of that gets stripped out of the ripped audio. So you're just left with the audio dialogue. So it turns something like a 50-minute drama down to a 30-minute audio clip. Make sense? And so now I've been playing that.
It makes a lot of sense to me, and I can totally see how that would be efficient. But that seems so unenjoyable to me personally.
No. So here's what I've done. Because again, I don't have a problem reading to audio. So I've done an old show I've done a Let's Read on, like Zetai Karashi, and also Hanayori. Right now I'm going through Hanayori Nengo. And so I'll play the audio and I'll read it. And then the next day, because I want to practice my pronunciation, that audio, by the way, I've gotten playing on loop. And the next day I'll actually mirror the audio. So that's so I'm recording myself mirroring the audio. So now I can have some type of reference, like, am I improving or not in my speaking? So that it's just an idea that if you've done rips of dramas, I'm sure you've noticed like there's that annoying thing of the intro and outro music, which is
I just
and then the long montages that are there, and then obviously just the fact that you were taking out 20 minutes of silence is no use to you anyway to listen to. It just all of a sudden you're just hearing dialogue, which is really what you want to pay attention to when you're, especially if you're just listening to stuff in background. So that's an idea.
I think. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I meant the program name. I've got it saved on the Discord on the resources, but what is it called? It was subs. Oh, subs to. God damn it. CIA. Subs to CIA. Compressed immersion audio. Subs to CIA. Subs to the number 2 CIA. Compressed immersion audio. Make sense? Okay. So thanks to the guy, whoever was the guy that I want to donate to him. It's like I mentioned this before. Like the guy who did remembering the kanji, reviewing the kanji website. Petri. Great. I'm fucking drawing a blank on all these guys' names. I feel so bad. Fabrice. I remember I've donated. I think like it's $1,000 or so to him. Like I've just got an open payment to his Patreon, but I was donating directly before his website shut down for the forums. The same with the gentleman who did Anki. I remember like donating to him for the longest time because again, these are the guys that were helping the Japanese community. So it made sense since I was in the military. I had a steady paycheck, to at least maybe offer a little bit of support to them in a way that I could do it, which was, again, money. It's anyway transfer the time I spent for the military, then that can be transferred into money to them, if that made sense. So they helped the U.S. war effort. Thank you guys. Okay, that's bad. But again, we're saying like tricks of the trade. And we're just kind of experimenting on ourselves of how to get from this intermediate to the advanced stages. Somehow accomplish whatever the hell Matt did to get where Matt was at. Because I think you would like to be at Matt's levels, right? Would I be wrong in saying that?
I guess, but I feel like.
But you realize like what you had to pay.
He does maybe embellish some things, like everything he goes on about. With pronunciation.
Like pitch accent?
He has this. Have you seen this video he uploaded where it's like white guy speaks perfect Japanese and he's claiming that like they could never understand.
On VR chat?
Yeah. But like I could tell that he has an accent, and people in the comments could tell that some of the people who I guess are experienced with Japanese or are native speakers also said like, yeah, I can tell that he's not a native speaker. So that's the one point that's kind of
the problem was, but they already knew he wasn't a native speaker because they saw the video. The question is, and I think it's kind of weird. You're like basically playing a hidden joke or whatever, a prank on people, like speaking to someone over the telephone. Can you tell who this person is? For me, and again, this is not being good, but for me, it would be karaoke. I have sung karaoke songs and people thought it was a native singing till they looked around and saw it was me singing. But again, I'm not fluent in Japanese. I was just able to mimic, or at least I think. And it's hard. And I'm always like doubting are they telling me the truth or are they kind of like shining out? Because Japanese are very good about lying to your face if they feel it would hurt if they would, feel rude to tell you the truth. I mean, so.
Yeah. And also, I feel like, as you said, the karaoke and like the VR chat thing, I feel like that's very different from real life. Like, I've actually been in a situation where I met a person who was like, clearly had an accent, but I thought that they might have just been like from a family that is bilingual, but they were still a native Russian speaker. But they were not a native Russian speaker. They learned Russian. It was a Japanese person, actually. It was an exchange student here. And I thought that they were maybe somewhere from Central Asia, and they had Russian also as a native language. Because like people in Kazakhstan, for example, they have Russian as a native language, a lot of them. So that's what I thought. But then as I heard this person more and more, I was like, oh yeah, no, definitely not. So it's like, it's a slippery slope. You have to like hear a person speak for a little while before you can really make a judgment.
Yeah.
And if you're just like, if you're just exchanging a few words.
And also the visual, because sometimes you see a person and you're just going to assume based on features that, okay, they're probably not, they may or may not be native. Well, English is a bad example because, again, English is all over the place. So native English speakers could sound completely different just in the U.S. alone, much less Australia, India, Europe. But I will say, this is why I got convinced about the whole immersion thing, is that I do teach an English school. And I've told this story before. I teach an English school. It's a small one, but there's a program in Japan. I guess it's like a Disney English program where parents will pay. It's like $10,000, really expensive. But it essentially gives something where they can show their kids Disney cartoons and shows since they're from being a baby. So basically, these Japanese kids are watching American shows before they can even speak Japanese. So they're being immersed in English. And what shocked me is that there's this 8-year-old girl, and if you talk to her, you would just think she was a native English speaker. All right, but her parents don't speak English at all, and this girl's never left Japan. She's only lived in Japan, and just sounds like and the way I say it, like I try to tell her mom that it's like, I can't teach her English. She knows English. What you do is you teach her stuff in English. So that's when it's like, get her to an international school, where she can learn stuff while using English, like you're doing, like with English, like you're having fun in English, playing video games. Make sense? But I've seen some other children, like her brother, 4 years old. He wasn't speaking, but like a lot of kids at 4 years old don't speak, so that's not a problem. But if I could tell him complicated instructions in English, and he would follow it, no problem. Whereas every other kid would look at me with a blank stare. So he was where I got the belief that, yeah, okay, most likely she was the same way. She got to a high level of comprehension, and then when she started finally doing output, whenever it was natural for her, it sounded fluent. I mean, it was like a native, like again. Yeah. Now, we're not kids. We're not kids, and so our comprehension. So the way we might be, I don't think we'll be able to repeat that as adults. But there is something you could make use of. That's the immersion. Like the more comprehensible you immerse in, the more you get to the point where you're like, you notice something's wrong, even if you can't describe it, you can't put to words. You comprehend it to that level. That's going to be what I'm wanting to build up to. Is like, and again, I don't read enough, but I think people have seen it where, like, I've written enough kanji where I write a kanji, just doesn't feel right. Like I'll say that something feels wrong, so I try to rewrite it. For example, that's what you want to do, is like build up the muscle memory, or visual memory, or whatever it is, that the speedy part of the brain. What is that? You got the active conscious part, and then the unconscious part of it that does its stuff faster. But the pattern,
I don't know. I think it's in the frontal lobe.
But sure. There's a couple of videos on that about, when it comes to reading, like even in English, if you change the text where now it becomes hard to read, people will pick up on like a purposeful mistake, like let's say a gag or something that was in the sentence. But if it was like a regular sentence with regular fonts, your brain is so quick at putting stuff together. It sees 5 letters, it sees the first and last letter, it knows, like, okay, I know what that word is, even though actually there was something wrong with the word. But you change the font, all of a sudden the brain has to think actively. Then it starts noticing mistakes in the text. That's again an example of us with English. That's why you have to consume so much Japanese and consume so much of it where you notice if something's wrong. Which means also, if you start speaking, you'll notice, hey, I'm saying that wrong. That doesn't sound right. Like if you said like Takai, and he said Takasa, he's like, Takasa, that sounds wrong. It's Takasa. Even though
sorry about that. Got a phone call.
You didn't know pitch.
Sorry about that.
I was getting my groove on.
Anyways, yeah, but like I've discussed this in a video with Eric that I released not long ago on my channel, where, yeah, we just talked about how it's like, it's such a loose definition of like what a native speaker is, or like a native level speaker is. I don't think it even like for the majority of people, it's just going to be impossible. So might as well not really think about sounding exactly like a native. Just like try to get as close to it as you can, or as you're willing to. So like I am, my strategy recently has been to just like consume content as if like, I don't even think of it as like studying anymore. I'm just using the language. I have a Japanese friend. I'm just using the language with him. I like watching anime, so I'm just using my knowledge of Japanese to watch. I like certain like YouTube channels, so I'm just using my language to watch them. To me, that's no longer studying. That's just, I'm using the language, right? It's like I guess it's a kind of a fine line between where you're still practicing and where you're just using the skill, right? Yeah. So I think I'm transitioning towards just using it at this point. So yeah, I don't like, the only active study I do is every once in a while I'll sit down and learn new kanji, learn a few vocab or grammar points that are important, and that's it. Everything else is just me using my knowledge of Japanese. Yeah. So, and recently that I've been having so much fun with that because it's so like gratifying. I feel like this is it. This is what I've been working towards for almost 5 years, and now I'm finally able to just use my knowledge of the language. Of course, it's like, it's very variable depending on the content that I'm consuming. If it's a book, I have to look up stuff, but I'm okay with that. I have to look up stuff in Russian and English too, by the way. I am very kind of OCD about not understanding something. So, and in books, you very often see new words because there are more difficult words that are not used in speech usually. So I have to look up stuff in Russian and in English still. So that's no different. I just have to do it a bit more in Japanese.
But you're having fun using the Japanese definitions, when you can figure it out, right?
Sorry, what?
You do look up words with Japanese definitions first, then you switch to English if need be, right?
Not really. No, I just look it up in a dictionary. But I don't fixate on the translation. I just get an idea, and then from hearing the word over and over, I'll get the Japanese idea of the word, and I'll acquire it.
I will make a recommendation. If you can, figure out how to get a Japanese to Japanese definition under your belt. I think you'll find that's going to be fun and useful. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
So I recommend that. Now, electronic's easier than paper, but that's up to you. Now, I wanted to show you something. You saw me doing Attack on Titan today, and you were mentioning about learning kanji. So are you remembering the kanji?
No, I don't like the order.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I wanted to show you something. Now, this is just something that was happened to come up. Now, it was I think it was Tsunaji, or I forgot the word for it, but this was the kanji, right? And it looks like it's probably backwards. Is that backwards?
No, it's not.
So it's foot. So that's horse hoof, right? So I can memorize kanji, but I don't know the word for it. It's like it's Tsunaji or something like that. Then, of course, there was and again, I forgot the word, but I'm just remembering what you had said today. And it's like about how we're just having fun. We're not really studying, but by doing it, you are learning. So like this came up today. Let's see right there as well. Okay. And that's winnowing or neighing. Because remember, these two words come up because what were they doing today? They were on their horses, in that formation, trying to get to this location. They're being attacked by the Titan, right? Hey, that's the title of the. Sorry. So I'm saying, like, what you're doing, you're not calling it studying, and that's good, but you are learning, and you're having fun. So that
I am learning. Yeah, but I'm learning when I read a Japanese, when I read a Russian or English book, I'm also learning.
Yep, there you go. And the more you consume, the better you're going to get. And it sounds like 40% of your consumption's coming in the form of Japanese, 6% in English, and you've got a variety of things that you're interested in, and you're learning stuff, you're having fun because that's where YouTube, because you have interest in all these things, so you're watching it for fun. You would do it in English, but instead you're just doing it in Japanese. And that's what AJAP was really about, all Japanese all the time. But to get to that point, you had to build up at a level. And I think the failure is that they were trying to push that immersion part early on instead of like, look, you got to build that base first, then the immersion is going to be a lot more effective. You're going to get more out of it. Like, not only are you going to have fun, but you're going to learn stuff. Even if it's not the primary goal, you're going to learn regardless. Now,
somebody is saying in the comments that we have 2 different goals with Japanese. I would just say my goal has always been to learn to be able to speak to Japanese people, to understand content in Japanese, and to just enjoy the culture by knowing the language. That has always been my goal.
My goal is to date as many Japanese women as possible. That pisses my wife off in no end. It's not a goal. It's just, I live in Japan. I plan to live in Japan just because of first world country. You can live here comfortably, and it's easier to live here if you know the language. And part of the thing that got me started was I looked at kanji, and kanji was a very structured. It was like the easiest part of learning Japanese was kanji, the physical writing of the kanji and whatnot. The hardest part was learning how to use kanji in Japanese words. And so that's what I would say.
Maybe not easiest, but like the most straightforward.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, because it's a lot of effort that goes into that. But it's very straightforward what you do.
Well, I mean, easy is still easy. Now the amount of time is, if you want to call it about the amount of time it takes. Yeah, like even if it's like 10 kanji, like say, I'm assuming like approaching kanji where you learn kanji as a native, as if a native English speaker. So you learn you learn that kanji first, then you learn how Japanese use it. That's made it easier for me. So learning kanji is not difficult. Memorizing and learning a new kanji is no problem. But I got to connect then the Japanese word to that. That's where the problem lies, and it's something that, that's going to be a trouble for anybody. So that's fine, especially when it's a fucking kunyomi word. Oh my god. Onyomi, right? You probably have not only the word, you have the meaning given to you with the onyomi almost, and you have the pronunciation given to you on it. So you can be but kunyomi, and it's still important to learn these. You've got to do a lot more effort. And because we're going from intermediate to advanced, so you've probably got 6,000, 7,000 words under your belt, I assume. I know it's hard to gauge.
I don't know. I don't really count them. And as we discussed in my comments, like, I don't really like to think of the words because everyone has their own definition of what a word is.
Yeah.
Because I have some rough count where it's like a bit over 4,000, but I'm very strict with mine. I don't include Nihongo as separate from Nihon. Right. To me, that's the same thing because you're just adding a suffix to it.
And I would disagree with
because
that,
I'm very strict, my count is at something like 4,000. And also that does not include grammar words because I couldn't be bothered counting those.
Okay. And also some compound words feel like it's almost like what's obvious from what they are. You know, like surete.
Yeah.
We add surete or sure to some word, but don't worry about that. I'm just saying, really, based on what your level is, especially into, you probably got about 6,000 words that a text analyzer would look at. It'll give you that number. Don't sweat that. I'm not saying sweat that. Don't sweat that. I'm just saying same reason. So that's reason also is like when you think kanji, there's vocabulary. No, kanji was 500, 500, 500, 500. It was pretty straightforward. It's kind of scary how straightforward that was. But with vocabulary, it's different. Vocabulary would be like, so hiragana, katakana, 1,000 words. Cool. Don't worry. You can learn 1,000 words out of kanji. No problem, if you wanted to. And if they do use kanji, it's any of one of the first 150 most common. Cool. All right. So what I say, hiragana, katakana, 1,000 words. Cool. Then the 500 kanji, which are 75%, but then 1,500 words. So now you got 500 kanji and 2,500 words. Those 2,500 words are about 60%. You know, maybe a little higher. Then the next 500 kanji and then 2,000 words. So now you have 4,500 words. And now you're around about 75%. Then another 500 kanji and 2,500 words. So now you're up around 7,000 vocabulary, which is where you're at now. I'm assuming you're probably around there. And again, that's I want to say 75%, probably a little more than that, because there's, again, because your knowledge of the basics are there, you can figure out words even if that are actually new words to you, but the instant you see it, you know what it means.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had that a lot.
But you couldn't come up with it, and you don't want to be creative, as in when you come speaking. That's why knowing these words as being their own set thing, because the most dangerous thing, you know, this is when you try to make up something new, like try to describe a point, you're going to say it in the wrong way. You know, the most famous is like, don't say open an umbrella directly in Japanese, okay, or don't say take a bath. You would enter a bath, right? For example.
Well, what I do when I'm speaking to like my Japanese friend, I always make sure to doubt myself at every opportunity. And if I hear any like sense of like confusion, I always ask, was that not natural? And then they tell me, like, and because I have a good enough friend who will like tell me if I'm saying something weird, he will kind of tell me what's the more natural way of saying it. I even had that today.
Perfect. And what I'm saying, like with you with kanji, don't worry about remembering the kanji. What you're doing is like, whether you're using remember the kanji or not, I don't know if you care about writing. Now, I think if you want to learn to write kanji from memory, remember the kanji is great. One, or here's the better way, is get the Tango decks or the Core 2K, 6K decks, and just get the words that have kanji, and then play the audio and then write the word from just by listening to the audio. Does that make sense? That'd be a good way of training.
It makes sense, but I already kind of have a system that
if you're training
sort of works.
If you're training writing, because kanji is its own
thing.
Yeah. Now,
I already kind of have a system for that sort of works, where I have my kanji Anki deck. I think I have, it's still like way lower than what it should be, but I have like maybe 1,520 kanji still.
Right.
And as soon as I'm done with the backlog of new words that I had before I stopped fussing so much about writing down the words, as soon as I'm done with that, well, I'll go more into kanji. And the way I do it is I have.
Okay. Oh, so you actually, that's what I was going to ask. How do you do it? So, okay.
Yeah. So the way I do it is I have just the kanji on one side of the card.
So that's the question. The question is the kanji. Okay.
Yeah, and then the answer is the readings of it and the meanings of it.
I would say don't do that. I would say don't do that at all.
Why?
Do that with words. Just have a word there. If you know how to pronounce a word, then you know it's onyomi or kunyomi. Make sense?
Sorry, say that again?
Do that with words. Don't say, oh, how are different ways this kanji can be used. Just do that with. Do you have an Anki deck where it just shows a word, and do you know how to pronounce that word?
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's your recognition. That's called, by the way, that's called recognition cards, right? All right. So just have this Japanese word, and do you know how to pronounce it? And what you could have, it could be multiple words. Like, here are the 3 words. What's the onyomi for that happen to have the same onyomi? What's that onyomi? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I do it in context anyways, really, because I don't ever, like, because I have all of the dictionary definitions and readings, but I only ever focus on the ones that I know from the vocab I've learned containing that kanji. The issue is, it would be way more convenient if I went back and, like, if from the beginning I started adding in at least one example word with the kanji, with like maybe a blank space. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's this word that means this. How do I write this kanji? But now I have all of these kanji, and I would have to go through all of them and correct all of that.
I can make that for you, dude. I can hook you up. Come on, man. We're brothers. Come on.
Really? That's the way to do that?
Yeah. Now let me show you my kanji deck. Reason why I'm saying, like, what I worry about kanji is, like, can I write the word from memory? Or can I write the kanji from memory? That's the only thing I really care about with my kanji deck. Now, but if you're caring about the onyomi, kunyomi, I'm saying don't do that with
I don't. I just care about the words.
Then definitely just make sure that. But you said you had a kanji deck where it's just the kanji on front, and you needed the onyomi and kunyomi.
Yeah, but that's I just started doing it like that.
If you would just start, just fucking stop. Just fucking. If you got a deck that here's a word, and you need to know how to pronounce the word and what it means, you got it. And you got the context sentence as well. That's more than enough. I mean,
well, I have my other deck for that, kind of, where I have a normal Japanese deck, where it's kind of intermixed between various grammar points, sentences, and the vocab, where it's vocab and then dash and the reading of the vocab and then the meaning. So if I get the meaning, I have to know how it's read and how to write it. And if I get the writing and reading, I have to remember what it means. That's it.
Okay. Now, mine is slightly different. Now, so I have a kanji deck and I have a vocabulary deck. And then also I have what's called the sentence mining deck, my Morphman deck. For the vocabulary deck, I have two sides. There are two types of cards. The first one is it plays the audio of the word in the example sentence. And for that, I'm not forcing myself, but I try to visualize how to write the word in my head. I don't write it out physically. And do I know what the word means? Do I know what that sentence means? Does that make sense? That's the audio card. The other is I see the word and I see the sentence. Do I know how to pronounce the word? Do I know how to read the sentence? It's pretty much it. And that's just with words that I don't know. By the way, are you able to see the stream right now?
Yeah, I am.
Right.
I actually wanted to answer one question. Well, not a question, something Rod Knight said. I'm not like opposed to anything the Nuke is saying. I'm just kind of sharing the way I did it. But I do realize there are a lot of inefficiencies with my method. It's just that's how I started doing it 4 years ago when I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, do what works. I mean, if it's working for you, fucking keep on at it. Don't even.
It doesn't work that well. The kanji part, the reproducing kanji, I don't have that system done very well at all.
So that's where, especially writing kanji from memory, remembering the kanjis, I think it's pretty keen. But I want to show you my kanji deck. So I think that's
sure. All
right. Now, can you see this?
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see that.
Okay. All right. So we'll do hiragana, katakana. Now, actually, I'll tell you what. Let's go to browse. Now, this is 6,500 kanji in this deck. So obviously, I'm not going to learn 6,500 kanji. Can you see this? I'm just making sure you can see the screen. Okay.
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, good. So bring it up. All right. We'll do it by sort field. Okay, good. All right. Oh, let's make that reverse. Okay, cool.
I know that there are a lot of like functions in Anki that are very like in depth, but I have no idea about them because I just made a stupid system when I started off when I didn't know any better, and I don't really know how to change it now.
That's fine. So I think you might appreciate this. So let me just show you. Okay, so we're just going to do preview. Yeah. So let's say we're doing card 1001, I guess. Okay, let's do a preview. All right, so let me shrink this down, make sure it's on the... We're going to do this at 1,000 and 1,500 and 2,000. Okay, now you're seeing this. Now this can change. I can put all these Japanese words. I could put all that at the top if I want to. That could be the question side. And then this could be underneath. But anyway, you got boken, boto, botoku, okashi. All right? And you see, all I'm worried is like, can you write this kanji from memory? Does this make sense?
Yeah. That's an awesome system.
All right. Now, again, this wasn't too difficult to make. And it's based on, remember I said that scan of 5,000 books I told you about? It was also the vocabulary scan was there as well. So what I did is I took the top 6 vocabulary words that use that kanji. That's where I grabbed these from. And for the and I ran.
So you didn't even do this manually?
No.
Wow.
No. Now that means there's going to be some mistakes, but anyway, this is by the way. So this is sun over I. So sun, nichi, and me. That's bo. Make sense? Now here's the answer. By the way, let me just show you the answer. All right.
I know the word. Oh wait, I know. Oh wait. Well, you showed the kanji earlier. I know that one.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, yeah. So now you're not memorizing these words. These words are there, so if you already know them, they're context. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
You can add more words to this or take away words if you want to. But anyway, these are meant for context. Same as all this meaning up here and this keyword. That's all context for, can you write this kanji from memory?
Yeah.
All right.
That's an awesome system, honestly.
All right. Now here's the next one real quick. And then again, this is 1,000. So this is like in 3 level stuff. Yeah, okay, I guess technically N2. All right, chant. All right. Tonai. Now look at the words. Now this might be a little weirder, but anyways, mouth, sun, and sun. But cool. You can't see.
I know this.
And it kind of screws up right there. I mean, there are mistakes. This isn't perfect, but yeah. But yeah, here's the. But yeah, so that's a very simple kanji to me, but to you, you may not have known it. All right, so. Okay, that's a production side. You could also reverse that, where it's showing you just hiragana and English, but you're actually showing you all the. I'm sorry, it's called recognition. So it's showing you all the words, but there's no hiragana, katakana, none of that, and no meanings. It's just the Japanese stuff. And then, do you know roughly what that kanji means? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you can adapt that to where it's like I made a different deck. Now that was really hard to make, where it was. Let me shrink all this down. Sorry. And by the way, I can share this with you or anybody. Actually, sorry, I'm looking at the screen like I got all my cameras blocked, but I can share that with anybody. If you own the book, remember the kanji, either books 1 or 3, one or the other. I don't care. I'll give you the fucking deck for free. I don't care. Okay, I'm sharing that with everyone. Just message me on Discord. I give the link to you. Same with you there, Deni. Is it Deni or Denai?
Deni.
Okay. And I do that.
I will definitely admit that my system for learning kanji was terrible. I could recognize them fine, but like that's the easy part. The reproduction, my old system was so bad.
Yeah.
God.
But you've seen that where it's just, for me, I think of all these kanji in parts. So like those 2 kanji I showed you, I just remember mouth, bushel basking. So I'm thinking, okay, the bushel basket on the side of the horse and the axe. So he's like actually drawing the axe, attacking, and then the horse is winning. I'm visualizing that. So
mnemonics. Right. I use mnemonics too.
So I'm saying so that's how quickly I can memorize it just because I was paying attention. That's how quickly it can be it. So that now here's where I'm saying about the next thing. That's if you're doing individual kanji. But for you, this probably be a little bit better, more fun than a kanji deck. So I'll show you again. Let's bring up Anki. So now we're going to go to the Tango deck. So let's do Tango N3, and we'll say let's do part 4, sure. Okay, so this is going to be listening and reading. So what I'm going to pay attention to is the listening. Now, you might not be able to hear this, but let's do a preview. Okay, so you just hear audio. It's loading up right now.
By the way, it's like I have a delay, just so I won't be able to see the stuff at the same time.
世界にニュースが伝わる。
Alright, so it's like a 伝わる。世界のニュースでインターネットで伝わる. So that means to convey. So it's probably like person and smoke signal, and then waru. I probably got that wrong, but yeah, sutaya, sutawaru. So I mean, I'm writing it in my head, but you can physically write it out. But you do. Oh, it helps if I unblock the camera. So God damn it, sorry, I'm all sorts of.
On the phone, there is an option where you have a whiteboard and you can just write it.
But I'm saying don't even worry about just writing in your head. Just keep this shit fast. You're just unless you want to.
A problem that I found with that is that I then check it and then I'm like, oh shit, did I actually think of it this way in my head? Because there might have been a stroke that was off. So if I just write it, then I know for sure.
Okay, just remember if you get tired of that, then don't worry. Then you'll know when. Like when it's like, oh, I already know what this is. You'll know it, and then don't worry. Write it in your head if you feel like it, or write it out physically. What I normally do now, I used to write out everything, but that's a beginning thing. And intermediate, that's when I slowly got away from it. So now it's like I write it out when I first learn it, and then when I get it wrong, then I physically write it out.
Right, that makes sense.
So let me make sure I just did I really screw this up or not? So anyway, so this is here's the answer.
伝わる
Yeah, so
インターネットで
you can't
世
hear
界
it.
にニュース
Take
が
some
伝
time
わ
for
る。
me to
But if you look at
get
the font, it's got the stroke order font. So like it might be hard to see, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They actually got the numbers.
I'm still just waiting for the stream to get to me.
Yeah. Usually at this time I would share a camera with you and you can see it, but
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that was a font. I thought it was just like images.
no. Well, there is an image deck and it's like colorized and whatnot. But yeah, just do a search, Kanji stroke order. It's a free font, and they've got it for all 6,500.
That is awesome.
6,500 kanji, plus also other stuff. But yeah, for you, if you want to start from the beginning and strengthen up kanji, I don't know, because I would say do that. Just pick maybe 4 to 6 of the most common words that use that kanji. How's that? And then let me shrink this down. If you want that to be a part of it, I mean, that's up to you. Now,
I definitely would. I only ever learn kanji in context. I used to when I didn't know any better, like maybe in the first few months.
Mhm.
I just did like memorizing readings and like meanings.
Mhm.
But then I quickly transitioned to just focusing on the words that I actually know that contain the kanji. And I also, on the opposite side, this is one thing that I do differently from you. I only ever learn kanji from words that I already know. So I have some sort of
perfectly
like
fine. Perfectly
context.
fine. No, perfectly good. Remember the kanji, if you just do it, it's just because of the parts that make it up, and then use the mnemonics to put the parts together. If you've already got that down, you already know the parts of the kanji, you don't need RTK. You see a new kanji and hey, this is a kanji I want to learn, go for it. Just I do things a little differently. I front load the kanji, but in blocks of 500. That's the only thing I do slightly different. But what I don't worry about, I keep writing kanji. I'm mainly concerned with that with my kanji deck, so that's why I don't sweat it with the vocabulary deck. But for you, you might want to, make use of, can you write this word out from memory as a practice?
Yeah.
But use your vocab deck but turn it into a kanji deck in a way, like if you've got audio. So or hiragana, if you want to have it where it just shows the hiragana or katakana, if you got it in furigana.
Yeah.
I don't know what your.
I would just need to go through my normal Japanese deck and add tags to everything that is grammar or vocab, because it's all intermixed in one deck.
Okay.
But I have like over 9,000 cards in there that I made manually, so it'll take a long time to do all of that.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not focused on kanji output quite yet. I got that tip from Matt vs. Japan, that in the beginning you want to focus on kanji comprehension.
Yeah.
And then you focus on kanji output.
Yeah, once I realized like it could be a little of both, because what I learned was don't worry about the pronunciation of the kanji, because that you want to get that from the words. That was the first thing. Keep the things separate. Like, hey, you just want to know how to write a kanji from memory, so fine, But what happened was with RTK was they were only using keywords. Big fucking mistake. Because later on, that's the reason why this deck was set up the way it is. It's like, well, one, you learn like multiple kanjis can have very similar meanings. So that's when I started adding the descriptions of the kanji above that. And then later on, because I was like you, I didn't want to go and like mainly add in all these words I knew. So I decided to create here's a list of words that use that kanji.
Yeah, I think that is much better.
Now,
personally.
The original one I had was a JoYo list. It was actually a JoYo vocabulary list, which turned out sucks because JoYo is a fucking horrible, because they include kanji that nobody. So that's why I started using, hey, these are books that people read. So obviously going to contain kanji and words that people know. So that's why I decided to use that as my resource. And it actually turned out to work out just fine. So if I showed you the kanji list, you'll probably see like stuff that's in not even the JoYo kanji, but they're popping up all over the place. Because once you start, and I think you have noticed that. And there's others on the JoYo list, like the Emperor's Seal. No one gives a fuck about the emperor's seal. It's maybe used in the Japanese Constitution once, and then that's it. You know, you never see it any other
That's
place.
the thing. Like in official documents, they have to use the kanji from the Joy kanji list, as far as I know.
Right, and who cares, right? You want stuff that people read, so that's why. Again, so that's why I set up in that way. It's like for people like you and me who are going to be reading Japanese resources. So the kanji I've got, they're sorted, they're grouped, their groups are in frequency groups, but they have this one slight rule called source ranking. Like it needs, if it's very frequent but it appears in very few sources, it gets pulled down. That's all. So it's tethered to a source rank, but within roughly 500 ranks. Does that make sense? And vocabulary was done the same way. Did you freeze up? Did I freeze up? Hello? Let me ask. Did I freeze up? Now let me exit out of here also. I probably froze up. Okay, cool. That's the Yankee thing. Okay, so we lost Denny here. He got bored. He decided to like destroy the internet. Again, very smart gentleman. He has interests that are varied and wide. If you go to here, check out his Rubik's Cube videos are really cool. I could not even come close. What else am I thinking? And he's got some interesting videos with learning Japanese as well. And he says he's like myself. He knows that he's made mistakes in the process because there's different things you have to do with learning Japanese than it would be if you're trying to learn, again, like English or Russian. Like for him, Russian was just because he was thrown into the school. He had to learn. It was sink or swim for that. English was for fun, but he's doing it so he can use it for fun. So he got better at it because he was using it for video games mainly, or watching shows. And I'm sure the same thing's going to happen with Japanese. The biggest thing is getting up your level to a point where you can start having fun with Japanese. That's going to be a big thing. The one suggestion I made, a few of the suggestions I made to him is like, get a Japanese to Japanese dictionary and try to start using that. That's a suggestion Matt versus Japan and people in AJAC do make, like the monolingual transition.
Hello?
Hey, welcome back. I was just doing.
I don't know. I cut out. That's never happened.
Performance. It's never happened before. Hey.
Yeah, my internet just cut out. It should be fine now. Hey, I'm back.
Yeah. All right. No, it was just saying, like, kind of summarizing, like, again, about you and I, we've made mistakes in learning Japanese. Now, I've been learning Japanese. I started way back when. I stopped, level dropped, started back up around 4 years ago. Even then, I kind of slowly started getting back into it. But again, I knew I've made mistakes, and I'm sure you said you've made some mistakes as well. But, again, you don't want to start from scratch. So now you kind of have to change what you're doing based on where you're at now. Cool. And the thing is, you got up to the level where you, like I said, a lot of it, like with English, Russian, you get up, especially with English, you got up to a level where you can start having fun using the language, which, if you're just learning a language for school, you're probably going to be like, your mind is going to shut it down. But when you want to learn language because you really love that fucking game, you want to play it like, because if it's anything like English, the dubs usually suck. No matter what.
Actually, I have a very good point about that you said, like, you learn the language because you really want to use it, right? Not just because you're forcing yourself to.
Right.
I'm currently kind of at a weird crossroads with German, because even though I'm kind of getting closer to the point where I'll stop actively learning Japanese and I'll just use it in my day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. But then I don't even know if I want to get back to German, because the only real reasons I like it, the language, is because I think it sounds cool. I think the people are kind of nice, but that's kind of it. Like, I don't know what kind of content I would consume in German. I would like to visit Germany, but I'm not interested in living there. So I don't quite have that same motivation. And I'm kind of thinking like, will I ever have a motivation for another language to study it so intensively as I did with
here's
Japanese?
The thing. With Netflix, everything, you can probably find a lot of shows in German, even if they're not German shows. So you have that option. I've watched.
I guess, but then it's not native content, is it?
Yes, it is. Those are native speakers speaking. Yeah, I'm saying don't put that self-imposed restriction there. Okay, remember, what it is I wanted to watch Umbrella Academy. I did not watch it in English. I watched it in Japanese. So, same with the Titans. I wanted to watch the show, but I watched it in Japanese. Witcher, I watched that in English. But I'm saying like there's so many. Remember, I said I talked to you before the stream how my wife started watching American shows, and so I got interested in American shows after like 2 or 3 years of not watching anything. So I started binging, but I was binging in English. If I had just kept it in Japanese, I could have watched these awesome shows, which they are, but I would have watched them in Japanese. And so I'm saying, if you say a show you want to watch and you know enough German to enjoy it in German, fucking do it. Make sense? If you can't find a German show, find an American show that's been dubbed in Germany.
I guess, but then like the thing is like I'm mostly talking about the motivation, not the lack of content. Because like, what is the motivation for me with Japanese? I enjoy Japanese content. I like Japanese culture. In the recent years, I've been more interested in Japanese history, stuff like that. With Germany, I am maybe a little bit interested in the history. I kind of think the people are nice. I like the sound of the language, but there isn't like any German native content that I am interested in, right? So to me, it's about the motivation I want to have. And I think that's for pretty much anyone. Like, you want to have a good reason for why you want to learn the language in the first place. And as of right now, I don't have that for anything except for Japanese.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever enjoy anime before you learned Japanese?
Yes.
But you still enjoyed it, right?
Yes, but like
I
don't have that for German though. There isn't a thing in German that draws me to the culture.
Well, watch anime in German.
I know, but then it's not a motivation for like German stuff, right?
No, I'm saying though, then maybe during the process, as your German builds up and your interest in the language builds, because you found something interesting, you might find some native material that then is also again, my first exposure to
I guess yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I mean, I didn't know anything about Japanese dramas until I started to learn Japanese. I was doing anime, but I never really cared that much about anime, so that wasn't the draw that made me want to learn Japanese, other than I was going to be moving to Japan. But I began to love Japanese dramas once I was able to find the good ones. Finding the good ones was the hard part because most Japanese dramas suck. Did I look good? Yeah. Like a lot of animes suck also. I mean, just there's this. It's like in the U.S. There's, you get the cream of the crop, and you realize like, holy crap, there's a lot of just horrible stuff being produced.
I guess you have a good point because like even with Japanese, like I only recently finally found the YouTube content because I've been searching for a long time for YouTube content in Japanese that I enjoy, and I only recently was finally able to find that.
Yeah, and and it's very famous. Probably not you personally, but Harry Potter is a book people grew up with as a children and enjoyed. I was a young adult when it came out, but I had fun reading that in Japanese and some others. That's probably like some people's first book is Harry Potter, and it's probably a very bad book to be your first book in Japanese. But it's just something that they treat it like a challenge that they had fun doing it. So again, I'm just offering suggestions. You come at me with a problem, right? So that's the reason why I'm offering up suggestions. And it's not a guarantee. It's
not really a problem. I'm just like.
Well, you said there's nothing compelling.
In the German.
Right. You said there was no compelling content. It's like you're saying you're worried about like with the reading with the audiobook. That's why I came up as like, remember how you were worried about pronouncing the words wrong. That was the main thing that you were worried about. Well, listen with the audio, now you don't worry about it.
Well, that was half of the problem.
Right.
The other half was I want to understand what I'm reading.
Right.
But yeah, I'll definitely check out a lot of these like ideas you're sharing. I've also had like I get a lot of ideas from everyone. Like I've gotten many tips from Steve Kaufman, from Matt vs. Japan, from you now, and from various people I've met in person as well. And I just kind of, I guess, ended up with my own way of studying that's good for me. And I'm always open to like improving the quality of my studying time, I guess. I don't really call it studying anymore.
Last suggestion, since you're at the intermediate to advanced stages, is you probably already know about learning languages with Netflix or similar. There's Voracious Video Player, and I think Lucas or Yoga Pants, Yoga, not Yoga Pants. He's making a video player himself. That again, the idea is, you saw how I did with Attack on Titan, like you can read it. So yeah, they're making video players that are for, but having items that are useful for language learners. Does that make sense?
I guess I'll look into that too.
Have you seen that? Learn languages with Netflix?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
And there's also learn languages with YouTube. As long as there's Japanese subtitles, it works. I think you'll like it. I think you will really like it. So, yeah.
There's actually a channel I know where they put subtitles on almost everything. Yeah. They do it as like a stylistic choice, but they almost subtitle everything they say.
Now, if it's subtitled in the video, that's not going to help. But if it's like got the subtitles on the YouTube text subtitles, I think it works with that.
Wait, are you saying Japanese subtitles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or any
just
subtitles.
So we're on the same page.
Actually, it's any subtitles. So in our case, so we're like in your case, it's either German or Japanese. So you've got that option. And again, you can. So there's the subtitles playing. You can highlight a word, so you see the definition of the word. You can copy out the sentence, and it can copy out the sentence with the audio. So you got to Anki even. So now you have a very quickly made vocabulary deck being made that way of words that you care about learning. And there's some other tricks that we're going to be using, I'm sure. Have you heard of Morphman?
Morphman? No.
Okay, so Morphman it's a text analyzer, so but it scans your Anki deck for stuff you've already studied. So it's looking at, and it looks at that, so that it assumes that you know those words because you've studied it, right? And it's been passed. And so it creates a vocabulary list, a database of your known words. And now that becomes a very powerful tool. Let's say if you've got voracious, or not voracious, let's say that yoga makes it to where with that list, it'll only show you subtitles in Japanese if that sentence has a word you don't know. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if he says, hey, you should know all the words in a sentence, I'm not going to show you the subtitle. So you're only, you're forcing listening for words that you should know, and it's just going to show you subtitles for words you likely don't know. How would you like a system like that?
I don't know. Personally, I don't think it would be for me.
But
I can definitely see how
I get it. You don't actually watch TVs with subtitles, right?
Yeah, I watch everything wrong.
All right. But imagine if, because it has a list from your Anki deck of words you likely know, a sentence pop up is like, oh yeah, and then it's, oh yeah, I didn't know that anyway. Okay, cool. So it just saves you the effort.
I can see how that would be very useful.
That doesn't exist. That was just my idea. I haven't really shared it with him, but it's just that's the power of, because you already have an Anki deck of stuff you've studied, we can scan that and get a list of words you likely know and use that then with other programs to, especially with subtitles, where you want to keep it as audio as much as possible, but when it thinks, hey, you probably don't know what this word is, it pops the subtitle up. And that might even make you aware of, oh, there might be something in that. You might even realize that you didn't know it, because you do that sometimes, right? You pass over words you don't know. Or also what it does is it will show the subtitles. It pauses at the end of each subtitle, but it doesn't show you the subtitles. It just pauses at the end and to let you kind of catch up and then keep going. So it's slowing it down enough to, or you can replay it but it replays it sentence by sentence, so you don't have to go back with the time bar. Again, it's going to do it automatically for you based on when the sentence starts, because that's the power of subtitles. They have a start time and a stop time, and they have text. Okay, you're looking tired. It's I know it's, what is it like?
Oh yeah, sorry. I just woke up at 4 a.m. because I'm trying to sleep.
Early class. It's like
time.
Lunchtime also for you right now. So, right?
Well, for me, it should be getting closer to dinner time because I'm sleeping Japanese time.
Oh yeah. So,
I woke up at 4 a.m.
Okay.
Because of my Japanese university.
Okay. Hopefully that helps. And again, suggestions are suggestions. They're free.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very, very helpful.
And thank you, by the way. Because again, we're at the same level. You just work harder than I do. So like everyone's catching up to me and going.
I don't know about that. I'm just enjoying it, the process.
Yeah,
that's it.
You're doing good.
My main message to anyone who's
God damn it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I'm saying you're doing a damn good job. Your YouTube. It was a joke. It was you're doing a damn good job. You got a very good YouTube channel. You got a good following. You make a good product. So I mean, I know you're saying you're starting your Patreon. So again, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this may be a good gentleman to support. Go to his. Do you have your? I don't think I linked your Patreon. I apologize about that. We'll try to do that later.
I can send a link if anyone is interested. Yeah. But there's a link to my YouTube channel, and there's a link from that to my Patreon.
Yeah.
So you can go there.
And I'm sure he's like most of us. Like as he's going along, he's figuring out stuff and finding what works for him. He shares that, which because of the idea, it may work for somebody else, and it saves you the effort, and you don't make the mistakes he makes. That's kind of like a lot of what us language learners are doing when we come out on this stuff. We're not saying our way is the only way, just that this way was working for us, and hopefully you can benefit from it.
Yeah, that's very important for me. Like, I kind of used to be like that I used to go by this idea that like there is a good way of studying a foreign language, but I've really kind of strayed away from that. I read a book that's behind me called something Fluent Forever by Gabriel Weiner. And in this book, like he gives a lot of good advice, but like he presents it as if this is the way to study a foreign language. And that was also kind of something that I didn't really like about AJAD and MIA, that they presented as like, this is the way. If you don't study this way, you're not going to be fluent, right? And I don't really like that approach personally. I think based on like my experience and talking to other people, I think there is going to be a perfect way for a specific person. So my way is maybe close to what would be perfect for me, right? There are still a lot of things I could improve, but it's my way, right? And I don't expect everyone else to study that way.
You're the best person who knows where it itches.
Yeah, and so yeah, my message to people is like, try to find a way of learning that works for you and enjoy the process, most importantly. I've seen like a lot of people talk about how they're like stressed about not doing enough. You should just enjoy the process and take it at your own pace. Just as long as you're consistently studying the language, and it doesn't have to be like hours upon hours a day, right? As long as you're just consistently doing it, you will get to a good result, whatever your goal is.
I would add in also though, background audio. Having Japanese playing all the time, the small bits throughout the day that you pay attention, that turns it into passive or even active listening time.
Yeah. So
that's another way, because again, you're not like me where I can live in Japan. So that's the reason why my reading's so good, because I can see Japanese all over the place. But my listening wasn't where it should be, because I'm not engaged in conversations or trying to pay attention to what I'm hearing. Because I get distracted by the internet. But just have fun, keep studying time, and then have fun in the language. Like I think, like you said, you're in search of something fun to do in that language, as you said, and then then you wanted to learn more because you wanted to enjoy the show more. or you wanted to enjoy the game more, or just because, hey, by doing it, you were learning, you were learning through the enjoyment process, which again is a win. The only thing better than that is if you're getting paid for it at the same time.
Yeah.
But,
so I think it's better to do it as a thing you enjoy rather than as a chore or a job.
All right. Last thing. So anybody in the chat, if you got any questions, ask it now because I'm about to turn it off because my wife's in the kitchen and she's probably angry at me right now because I'm still on the internet. So. Okay. Do night, Sasabero. So I don't see any questions that were there.
It'll take some time for people to receive your question.
Okay.
Because there's some delay, so it'll take some time for people to actually start asking.
There we go. Let's type it out. I typed it out in the chat. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Right Night. Thank you for being active in the chat. Thank you to everyone who participated. I should have. I completely forgot to announce it on my channel before the stream. I should have done that yesterday.
Oh, I should. I think I linked it on my. I think I was going to do it on the Kurakata Discord. I forgot to. I think. So sorry, but I did do it on my Discord. I didn't want to use. I didn't want to link it on Matt's because this is a personal thing. Although I don't think he would have minded too much. Although it kind of goes against the whole MIA thing of watching two non-native speakers talk about learning Japanese. It really does go against the whole idea, which is true.
But there is a lot of content that they output themselves that is quite extensive, like the backlog.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I will probably edit out some of the most interesting parts of this conversation, and maybe I can put that on my channel.
Okay.
Last
thing.
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And last thing is that anything I showed, obviously I'll share with you, no problem. Again, I'll share the decks like the RTK deck or the Tango decks if you own the books. That's all. I mean, so in fact, like I've got the Tango N1 deck made. There's a lot of mistakes in it, but it is made. So if you own the book, cool. I mean, I'm paying $1,000. I paid $1,000 to the guy to type out the sentences. So that's where your Patreon money is going. Yes, that's part of it. Where it's going. What else? Yeah, and just man, support this guy, dude. I mean, yeah. Just subscribe to his channel. Ring the bell, whatever that is, for notification. Maybe be a member of Patreon and check out his webpage.
I have a video that I uploaded recently, last month at this point, about how much Japanese, or can you at all read Japanese if you know 1,500 kanji. So if that's something that interests you, maybe check it out. Worked pretty hard on that one, so I hope you guys like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's about it.
I think I said my comment is like, you already know it. Like, none. Okay, this is completely off topic, but because I had that list, somebody asked like, oh, what is a kanji word? It's just a one word. Like the kanji is the word. So I guess like there's like 800 or so that are of the 6,500. There's like 1,500 kanji that can be a single word. I think that's like I think I'm pulling the number on my ass now, but for example. But yeah, usually kanji is not by itself, and then it's like the words with one character, kanji character, and then kurigana, and then that increased the number. But you're really though, just because you know kanji, you got to learn words, and the words are usually like 2 kanji or more. So yeah, right. And you want to be very careful about doing that because now you're playing guessing games. Like famous example, what is cat and car?
Sorry, what?
What is cat and car together? What word is that?
Cat and car.
What's the word?
Nekoguruma.
Which is?
What?
What is that word? What is that Japanese word? What is that Japanese word?
Nekoguruma. I don't know.
Wheelbarrow. It's wheelbarrow. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you don't believe? Okay. No, sorry. Oh, how about this? What about hand and bag?
Hand and bag.
Right. What would you think it means? There's what you would think it would mean in But what is the Japanese word for that? The kanji for hand, kanji for bag.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of the word tenohira, which is back of the hand.
Tebukuro. Tebukuro.
Oh, bag. Good. Sorry, I thought you said back.
Oh,
I thought you said
my bad.
back. Sorry.
My bad. Okay.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about. There are a lot of words that like that where it's like duh.
Yeah.
Like, of course, that's what it means.
Yeah, I'm saying this is when 10 years ago on the Kohi forums where people were like trying to learn more and more kanji because they think, oh, if you don't know kanji, you're illiterate. It's like, well, no, if you don't know words, you're illiterate. And you can learn, there's a lot of words you don't need kanji to learn. It's just that, yeah, you do need kanji. But again, that's where they got with the percentages, and we realized like you start dividing and conquer. That's fine. You know, it's like you already know a lot of Japanese, so I'm just like I was hoping like you don't need to put a lot of effort to then figure out like what kanji, how to write kanji.
Yeah,
that's all. I mean, you're going to realize that's going to be an easy part once you put the effort toward it. The time is the hard part, not the method's not too difficult. I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that whole going off subject there. I just thought that was kind of that face he made about Neko Guruma was you didn't believe.
Yeah, I cat and car is a wheelbarrow.
Mm-hmm. Now,
that's weird.
Isuguruma is obviously right. Chair and car is Isuguruma.
Wheelchair?
Yeah. So there, that one you probably would have guessed. That was right. So some it works, some it doesn't. But was it is it Neko Kuruma or Neko Guruma? Is it as examples? But again, that's where kanji, Japanese do with kanji what English does with spelling. Like they just slam the kanji down on their language, and some of it makes sense, and a lot of it doesn't. So you kind of just have to learn it. You can't just learn kanji and hope to make it work. You have to really learn the words. Similar with the English, you gotta when you learn word, you gotta know you gotta treat its spelling as a special thing, right? I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. You already know that through experience. English is a screwed up language in its written form. Japanese, with the way it uses kanji, is kind of screwed up. So there you go. Thank you very much. Any final words? Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much for the stream.
All right,
thank you for having me.
I'm going to end the stream right here. So again, check out his channel. This is New Green. If you'd like to support the Patreon, links down below as well. And yeah, well, tomorrow I'll be doing hopefully I'll be doing the next live stream of Let's Read Japanese with Attack on Titan. Shingeki no Kyojin.
Yeah.
All right, later.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.